Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette, and I'd like to welcome you. Carlos Rendo, the next Lieutenant Governor of New Jersey, is joining me this afternoon. Thank you for being here. Anton Magellan, hi. Thank you for joining me on Facey this afternoon. I am so excited to have with me today Mike Fitzpatrick, who is the founder and CEO of NCX Group Security. We're going to talk more about that later, but in the meantime, I'd like to let you know that I'm coming to you live from beautiful Cape May County, New Jersey, via SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio and television. So super excited about the guests that I have with me this morning. We have a lot to talk about today. I know I've been MIA the last couple of days, and I apologize. I've been under the weather, and then on Friday I was at Sirius. Hi, Bobby Jones. Hi, Saved by Grace. Welcome to. Thank you for joining me on the chat on Facebook. I appreciate it. And then I was at Sirius Radio on Friday, and whenever I do that, I have to go up to New York City, which from Cape May County is a little bit of a haul, so I have to do a replay for my show whenever I do Sirius XM, which, by the way, I'll be doing again this Friday. Always like when they want to have me back. That's a good thing. So I'll be doing that again this coming Friday, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. But first, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Eva Rosenberg, aka the Tax Mama. I want to thank her. If you have not been to her website already, please do so. It's Tax Mama with 1 M. She answers your tax questions for free. And she also has 2 fantastic books, Small Business Taxes Made Easy and Deduct Everything. They are award-winning books for a reason. So check out her website. Also, David Barnett, he should be back from vacay, so I have to have him on. Hey, Josh, Ace Booker, Ace Publicist Extraordinaire. How are you, darling? Hi, and people that I'm missing, I'm sorry that the scrolling is going by like really fast. Thank you, everybody, for joining me in Facey. If I missed you, I'm sorry. I'm so Ron Edwards. Hey, nice to see you. And I want to thank another sponsor, David Barnett, businessbuyeradvantage.com. If you've ever thought about buying a franchise, he's the guy you want to go to. You want to pop onto his website, businessbuyeradvantage.com. He has hundreds of instructional videos, and he also has 2 books, 21 Stupid Things People Do in Trying to Buy a Business, and another book called Franchise Warning. You finally caught it live, Joseph Harding. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it so much. So check out my sponsors' books, check out their websites. They are really great people, experts, and they've been on the show before. So if you go to the archives on Spreaker, you can check out their appearances on the show. Tax Mama, Eva Rosenberg, did my 100th episode, and for a reason. She's an expert in all things taxes. And if you want to know anything at all about taxes, she's the woman that you want to talk to. So, okay, more housekeeping. If you want to catch my appearance on Sirius Patriot 125, Patriot Tonight is the name of the show. You want to catch it on demand, you can do so by popping onto Sirius's website. That was this past Friday. If you want to catch me live again this coming Friday, I'll be on again this coming Friday. Also, I haven't been mentioning this, but I do a radio hit on a show called Daybreak USA with Angie Austin on conservative talker KLZ 560 AM. It's on 50 stations across the nation. It's really early, though. It's at 7:23 AM on Fridays. So if you're up that early and you want to catch it, just thought I'd mention it. What else do we have to talk about? If you want to know, Claudia Cheek, good to see you, darling. If you want to catch who my guests are going to be in advance, the best way to do that is to follow me on any of my social media. If you Google Money Talk with Melanie, you're going to see me all over the place. But if you follow me on Twitter, I'm almost to 1,000 followers. I'm so excited. You can do so at Money Talk with Mel, or you can follow me on my Facebook page at Money Talk with Melanie. So those are the way to do it. And or on YouTube at SHR Media. You can do it that way as well. If you want to just listen, which is certainly a viable option, or chat there at shrmedia.com, you can do that as well. If you have questions for my guest, type it, because my guest is a cybersecurity expert, like a serious, like if I told you who my clients were, I'd have to kill you, a cybersecurity expert. So we're going to talk. I had a cybersecurity expert on last show, but that was from a personal security angle. Today we're going to talk about it from a business security angle. And I want to thank Lonnie Poindexter, my good friend Lonnie Poindexter, for suggesting that I have him. Hi, Thomas Dwayne Smith, and thank you for calling me the Awesome Money Lady. I appreciate that. John Shad, former student of mine who I attempted to teach accounting to. Don't hold it against me, John. Good to see you, former student of mine. No, Mike Fitzpatrick, awesome cybersecurity expert, and actually was on did a hit with me on Sirius a few weeks ago, for which I'm very appreciative as well. So he's going to have some really good information for us. With all that said, the Money Talk News Minute for a moment. Let's talk about what's in the news. Now, I'm going to talk serious stuff, but y'all know I'm in love with Amazon. You like if Amazon was a man, I'd marry him. Let's face it. But after my MacBook, just you know how MacBook, you know how I feel about you, honey. But Amazon. I'm just in love with my technology. I can't help myself. And I told Mike to be free to reprimand me about the security issues involved with my clandestine relationships with my technology. But anyway, Amazon announced that now, in addition to all the fantastic things that you can do with Alexa, you can now order from, they're expanding the number of restaurants that you can order via voice command using Alexa. The only thing I keep forgetting to do, I have an Alexa Dot, and I keep forgetting to take her when I travel, which is an enormous fail on my part, because I go away and I'm like, Alexa, what's the weather today? And no one answers, and it's just all very sad. But Amazon announced that they're expanding the restaurants. So now, soon anyway, you'll be able, hey Reggie Easley, soon you'll be able to order from Shake Shack, Five Guys, Chipotle, Denny's, and needless to say, the diet's going to be more challenging than ever. But that's just some pure awesomeness from more pure awesomeness from Amazon. They're going to balance it out with Whole Foods. What do you want? Now, as a lead-in to what we're going to be talking to Mike Fitzpatrick about, in all seriousness, Deloitte, one of the world's top accountancy firms, was hit with a cyber attack, which I actually didn't talk to him about before the show. We're going to chat a little bit about that. They were hit with a cyber attack that can put more of our personal information at risk if you're a client of theirs, according to The Guardian. Apparently, they discovered this back in March. Don't know why we're just hearing about this now. And they only needed one password to get into the email system. Really, Deloitte? Seriously? And some of their clients include media firms, government agencies, multinational operations. So basically, operations all over the world. So that's not a good look for Deloitte. And of course, the Equifax CEO, not surprisingly, retired suddenly, and I say that in air quotes. Hi, Brandon Mitchell, how are you? Oh, thank you, Ron Edwards. So he's leaving, and I don't think anyone's surprised after, you know, he was responsible for, you know, putting 143 million customers information at risk. So that's a little bit of a problem. But you know, he's going to be fine, I'm sure, because I'm pretty sure he got a golden parachute, nice deal, and he'll be set for life. I'm great, Brandon Mitchell, another one of my former students, hanging out in the Facey chat. So we're still all good friends, despite my many chastising of Brandon Mitchell. Love you, Brandon. Anyway, so so that's what's going on with Equifax and Deloitte. Those were, I always get like a lot of information, but those were like the 3 most important stories on my list. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. And when we come back on the other side of the break, we will talk with the one and only Mike Fitzpatrick, all things cybersecurity and what in the world is going on with Equifax and what you can do to protect your business. We'll be back in a few moments.
The monument bashers and other leftists trying to eliminate evil memories from society, I find it ironic that they themselves are creating evil nightmares of oppression and bigotry. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, on one hand, the monument bashers say that they are eliminating images of slavery that irritate them so much. Even leftist Nancy Pelosi suddenly gets the heebie-jeebies when she walks past the same Confederate monuments in the Capitol that she has strolled past for 30 years without so much as a slight notice of their existence. Speaking of slavery, have you noticed how neither the monument bashers or other leftists hardly ever mention the disdain of the current slave trade in the Middle East, where black Christians are held in bondage by brutish Islamists who view black people as nothing more than slaves who God created without souls? The truth is, monument bashers and other leftists really are not concerned about monuments or dead slaveholders or Confederate flags. They are actually focused on George Soros' mission to destroy American history and disrupt the successful function of our constitutionally limited republic, which stands as the last natural hope against his globalist ambitions. I'm Ron Edwards.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the tax benefits of different forms of financing, spot and fix errors in the 1099s, legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Start deducting today. Visit TaxMama.com. TaxMama.com. That's TaxMama with 1M.com.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
And we're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. And if you recognize that name, Ron Edwards, and you're in a chat on Facebook, you're watching live on Facebook, that is the same Ron Edwards, who is starting his own show very, very shortly. And Ron, if you are still there, please post any information that you have about your upcoming show. If you enjoyed the notebook, I'm sure you are going to enjoy his show. We used to be colleagues here on SHR Media. He had a show called The Ron Edwards Experience, which was a fantastic, fantabulous show that I enjoyed immensely, and I am looking very forward to his new show. And you may hear a familiar voice, a little teeny tiny little segment on his show as well. Anywho, that's just a little tease for you. Anyhow, without further ado, I want to introduce my guest, Mike Fitzpatrick, who is the founder and CEO of NCX Group Incorporated. He is a successful a successful information risk management firm. He has over 35 years of information technology experience, where he began addressing the technical needs and security concerns of businesses embracing the internet. Today, through his company, NCX Group Security, Fitzpatrick leads a team of highly skilled engineers and professional consultants who are dedicated to providing security assessments and innovative strategies that protect critical data and ensure a business environment remains operational. Among its clientele are companies from the Fortune 2000 to the Fortune 50 in the fields of finance, healthcare, energy, and education. Fitzpatrick has extensive knowledge in the areas of privacy legislation and regulatory compliance that impact how a business operates. As a recognized leader in the business risk management and mitigation, he was asked to advise Senator Dianne Feinstein's office in the development of the Notification of Risk and Personal Data Act legislation. He has also given advice and guidance to Congresswoman Mary Bono's office, in which she is a co-sponsor of the Data Accountability and Trust Act. He is a respected presenter and has appeared as a featured speaker on Fox News and other national forums. And if you listen to Lonnie Poindexter's show, Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter, every day as I do, you've also heard him on that show, which is actually where I met him. And without further ado, Mr. Michael Fitzpatrick, how are you this afternoon? Thank you for indulging me.
Hey, thank you for reading that extra long bio. I'm going to have to find a way to cut that down to at least just one paragraph.
Our bio is just brutal. But here's the thing. When you get to the point where you're on someone's show, that's how long your bio is. Like, that's you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're on someone's show, your bio is generally not going to be like 3 sentences.
No, it's not. There's going to be some gravitas to it.
Right.
By the time you get on the show.
Right.
I guess I'll just need to go through and figure out how to make it, cut it down to bullet points rather than the long version.
Can I tell you, yours is short, which is why I read it. Yours is short compared to a lot of the bios that I get from people. Like I get bios and I'm like, seriously? Like, are you serious? So I do my own edits. That was actually pretty tame.
Well, that's good.
That wasn't bad at all. That was cool. That wasn't bad. And this is your first time on the show, so I wanted the audience to get a really thorough understanding, excuse me, of the depth and breadth of your experience and expertise, which was another reason why I read your entire bio. That was why I did that, because I wanted them to understand all the areas with which you have expertise in this area. So that's why, that was another reason why I did that. I don't typically actually read everybody's entire bio. They send it to me and I usually only read like 5 sentences.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. So you heard the part about Deloitte's, which is a new breach. That's like the latest information breach. And it seems, well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I was going to say that the companies seem to be very, all we're hearing about is that there are breaches, but we're not hearing a whole lot about the sources of these breaches.
And I mean, it's interesting. You said the Deloitte breach was what, March 2nd was the date that they. It's important to realize that's the date that they discovered it.
Right.
That doesn't mean that that's the date that it happened. Statistics show, research shows that a breach will happen anywhere between 6 months and a year before it's discovered.
Oh, that's just great.
And that's with a robust security program in place. If you are like most businesses today, and most businesses, when I say most, I mean 62% of all companies today have no information risk management plan whatsoever. So if you're in that 62%, the point of discovery is almost 2 years from the time of actual breach to discovery to mitigation is 2 years. So, I mean, it's millions and millions of dollars that impact the business as far as loss that result in not having an effective and active security, cybersecurity, and information risk program within your organization. And I don't care what size the business is. You need to do this.
It's so true. It is so true. And it's so scary. And where are the places that your information can end up once a company is breached? Like, where can your information go? What can happen?
Well, I mean, the primary place it ends up is out on the dark web, where it is sold in an open forum, you know, just like it's out on the street, but it's all on the dark web. You know, what is it? Full medical record goes for, a Social Security number goes for $1. Full medical record goes for $1,000. A full credit file, like with Equifax, goes for probably close to $1,200. Matter of fact, if you were to take, and that number is from the FBI, if we were to take that Equifax breach and we multiply it by 143 million times 1,200, that would mean the black market value of the data from the Equifax breach is, get this, $171,600,000,000. That's what the black market value is, and that's what the hackers can reap from it.
And that's why the hackers risk going to jail.
Well, okay, I just said that 162% or 62% of companies have no way to identify this. They have no plan. So the chance of getting caught is incredibly remote because companies aren't doing what they need to do.
And now we just mentioned the dark web very casually. Now, I used to teach computers in high school, secondary school, and I've been teaching on a collegiate level for the last 4 years. I didn't hear of the dark web until about 3 years ago. So I'm going to guess that by and large, a lot of people have not heard of the dark web. Can you explain a little bit about what the dark web is?
Well, I mean, you have to understand the things that Google or that's out there on the internet. It's the wild, wild west. The stuff that we see with normal websites, that's the commercialized version of what's out there on the internet. Anything and everything that you could possibly want, desire, have a proclivity for is available on the dark web. And it's not a fun-friendly place.
And I mean,
it's not
anything.
Bright and shiny.
Just envision the internet version of your darkest, dankest, inner city, underground, organized crime, all of it, but the internet version. That's the dark web. And what was scary was that my students told me about it. My high school programming students told me about it. Now, it was computer programming, so they tend to be all boys. And they were like, Miss Collins, you ever heard of, which was my name at the time, you ever heard of the dark web? And I was like, no, but it doesn't sound good. It's called the dark web. So, of course, and so they start telling me about it. And I'm like, I don't think that's something you guys should be fooling with or looking up, and I don't want you doing that. So, of course, I researched it later, and I'm like, oh, good Lord. So, yeah, and that's where your information is being sold in those places.
Where it's being sold.
Yeah, drugs, the whole nine. Anything and everything that can be done face-to-face illegally can be done on the dark web illegally.
Yes. Yes.
Which I found stunning. Now, the wait a minute. Now, what's most funny, not funny, haha, but just kind of funny, is the origin of the dark web, which those of us who are politically savvy and know anything about our government won't be surprised. Where?
Well, at the same time, I mean, you know, the whole thing came about as part of a government research project,
right?
Way back when, and so, you know, there's good and bad that comes out of some of those federal programs.
Yes.
The things that we utilize every day on the internet, you know, the way that it's used to conduct business, the way that you're able to, you know, for your love of Amazon, be able to get things shipped to you. You know, those are all good things. But like with anything in technology, right? It's a double-edged sword. So it all depends upon how you use it,
yes.
how you take advantage of it, how you manipulate it, how you apply it. And, you know, it's the same for any piece of technology. But the part that is troubling sometimes is with the folks that create the technology. They want to absolve themselves of the technology that they created. Well, I didn't know it was going to be used that way. That's on the user. Well, you have to think about that from a moral standpoint, especially, you know, and this is part of what I talk about with some groups, you know, when we're staring artificial intelligence in the face, and the fact that machine learning and AI is being used today in the attacks that are launched, you know, by the hackers. So you have this moral clarity that needs to be applied to this technology. It can't just be, we can't just turn it loose and hope that it turns out good. So
that's a very good point. That's an excellent point. And I would have to think from a programming perspective that some of these people figure that the thought process is that if I set it up via AI and just kind of let it do its thing, that if I'm a couple steps removed, that I'm absolved of responsibility. Is that the thought process? Is that how that works?
Well, I think in a lot of cases with you know, some developers of some software or application developers, I think the applications end up being used in ways that they never intended.
Sure.
Right. It's the consequence of unintended consequences that comes with just about anything in life, but especially with technology. There's a technology that I'm involved with that was actually created to improve radio frequency and signal speeds. I mean, literally with this technology, today's LTE could run 3 times faster on the current stuff that we have now with nothing more than a firmware update. The unintended consequence or the benefit of this technology is it makes one heck of a security application. Because the technology is designed to send signal through noise, and I don't want to get into the weeds here.
Right.
We can actually send the signal and bury it in noise, make it look like noise, and make it undetectable.
Oh.
From a security standpoint.
Oh.
So
that's really cool. I'm sorry. From a nerd perspective, that's really cool.
It all becomes hidden at that point.
That's very cool. That's really cool.
I mean, we've literally have been testing it now for 4.5 years, and nothing has broken it.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah,
that's
very
good stuff.
Cool.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So now, so you have your Deloitte's now added to the list, and your Equifaxes. Now you would think, I would think, had already had in come on, Melanie, in this NCX group, right? In their life, I would imagine.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, Deloitte actually does security assessments for clients. I mean, they have a whole security practice within Deloitte. But this isn't, as well as EY, KPMG.
Right.
You go down the rest of the accounting firms, a lot of them have cybersecurity expertise as part of their practices of what they do from an overall business consulting and accounting practice. It isn't their core business. It's a subset of what they do. This isn't Deloitte's first breach. This isn't, you can go down the list of how many times one of the accounting firms has actually exposed clients' information. Through the last 15 years that we've been doing this, we used to actually keep a record and a log of all of the breaches that would take place, but it got to be so many, I would have to hire a full-time person just to keep track of all of the breaches.
Wow.
And it was constant, at least once a year for several years, one of the accounting firms lost company data. And I'm sitting here going, why would that data be on somebody's laptop? And why can't an adult actually keep track of a laptop when they're in the airport? Those were the questions that really puzzled me, because I seem to have gotten through the airports many, many times without losing a laptop.
I'll tell you what, I'd rather lose my wallet than my MacBook. I lie to you not. If a gunman held me up and said, your wallet or your MacBook, I give him my wallet. I'm not even joking, because with my MacBook, I could get all that stuff in my wallet back. The stuff on my MacBook I cannot replace, and I can lock down everything that's on paper in that wallet in about 30 seconds on my MacBook. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. The thing that I say all the time, right? Security, in life, it's about choices, and security is that way. What's more important, security or convenience?
Yep.
And that's the decision that a lot of companies have to make these days. And I mean, what you're talking about illustrates that, right? It's much easier for me to give up my wallet. It's much more convenient for me to give up my wallet to a would-be robber than it is my MacBook, because the MacBook has all my data.
Exactly.
It's difficult to recreate the MacBook than it is your wallet.
Exactly. Take the purse. I can deal with the purse. I can get online and deal with that Social Security card and cancel my license. I can do all that. I can't deal with the data on my MacBook. That is a whole nother monster that you can't deal with. Oh goodness gracious, that's just a mess. Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk about, since I'm assuming they had an NCX group in their lives, what in the world can companies do, and how in the world can we as consumers protect ourselves? And this is when I'm sure we're going to talk about things like my love of Alexa and how we probably need to break up, and how I need to break up with Google, and all of my other relationships that I hold so dear. So you're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette, and we will be back in a few minutes. We are with Mike Fitzpatrick, cybersecurity expert extraordinaire. We'll be back in a few moments.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
From the war front to the streets of our nation's capital, men of faith, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClinton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues to the most influential Christian urban talk show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays. It's a new day on New Day, Black and Red.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk. Sackhead John and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy that happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America. And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the tax benefits of different forms of financing, spot and fix errors in the 1099s, legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Start deducting today. Visit TaxMama.com. TaxMama.com. That's TaxMama with 1M.com.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
Okay, we are back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. And we have Mike Fitzpatrick with us this afternoon, the founder and CEO of NCX Group, a cybersecurity firm. And he is, of course, master of all things cybersecurity. And we are very happy to have him with us this afternoon. Before the break, we were, hey, Carol Hupfeld, so nice to see you. Before the break, we were talking about the breaches at Deloitte and the breaches at Equifax. And I was asking you, I said I was sure that they had, you know, an NCX group of some sort in their lives. And so, you know, how in the world can businesses protect themselves? Because, you know, even though they have these organizations in their lives, they still got breached. And then how can we as consumers protect ourselves if a company that we're dealing with is breached?
Well, let's talk about a couple of issues here as far as Deloitte and getting an echo.
Okay.
Deloitte and Equifax is concerned. So with those two companies, first let's talk about the intrusion and how that goes. We'll start with Equifax. That breach came to light on, I think it was July 29th. And then shortly thereafter, 2 days thereafter, the CFO, the president of one division and the president of another division sold a block of stock to the tune of $1.8 million, or you have the CEO that has now stepped down, the CIO, I believe it is, or the CSO, I don't remember which, has already been fired. And what I was surprised with, we were talking about this earlier today, that person had a degree in music. Not to say that musicians are bad or anything like that, but just surprised that they didn't have somebody in place with a military intelligence background or an FBI background, someone that has a more robust security pedigree, if you will. What's important in cybersecurity is to understand that your risks are coming at you from every direction. It's not a frontal assault. It's a 360-degree attack in full 3 dimensions. So you never know where it's going to come from. The easiest way and the best way to try to mitigate your risk as much as possible is to develop a security program. Even then, it's not going to be 100%. For example, with Equifax, the breach of their web portal, their Apache server that their website resides on, was 2 software revisions behind. And that's what was hacked. So they didn't do the basic updates. So how many people out there that are listening to this show right now haven't gone through and updated their Google or their Android operating system, their iOS for the Mac? The new Mac OS just came out this week. Have you updated those things? Because those things help protect you the more frequent that you go through and do that patching and those software updates.
As I look at the red dot on my screen right now.
Exactly. So, you know, and then you've got the Deloitte breach. That was somebody compromised one email password led to that breach. Now, if you happen to compromise the right password of even a systems admin that has full admin privileges over your email, there really isn't a lot you can do about that.
Only takes one.
It just takes one. You know, and then you've got a situation. What was it in I think it's in Missouri someplace. There's a company that manufactures windmills, and the Chinese have been trying to hack them for the better part of a decade to gain access to their plans and their IP and those kinds of things. They actually went to the extreme of taking everything offline with their plans. They air-gapped the whole system, meaning it's not connected to the internet whatsoever.
Wow.
So what they did is they actually went in and bought an employee. They bribed somebody to go get the information. So where there's a will, there's a way. You have to try to make it as difficult as possible to get to your information, your crown jewels, as you possibly can. The other thing I'm going to harp on here, and I harp on this a lot, and that is compliance. Compliance is not security. Compliance is busy work. Compliance is a gold star, and I know you used to teach school. You hit all the checkbox. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't mean that you secured anything. It means that you're compliant. It means that you built your fence to an acceptable height of 3 feet. Well, contrary to popular belief, hackers are really intelligent people, and they can read.
Compliance is like
they read what your compliance habits are or what's required. They know how high you're going to build your fence because 90% of you do, and then they just build it 1 inch taller and they're in. You have to set traps. You have to be creative. One of I received a request for advice on LinkedIn today, and it's a young guy starting out in cybersecurity, wanted to know what I could tell him and what advice I had, and he's considering going and getting a degree in cybersecurity. And I said, first, I would say that a degree in cybersecurity puts you 4 years removed from what's going on today.
Absolutely.
And the reality is we need people badly. But at the same time, my fear is you come out in debt up to your eyeballs, and what you've been taught is no longer relevant.
Yep.
So find a way around that. Find somebody that'll let you in and let you learn on the job if you have that acumen. You have to. My other fear with some of these programs, especially out of the university system, is that it breeds conformity. It breeds this sameness, this approach to security that makes every network compromisable because everybody's building their fence the same way.
Right, that makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. No, if everybody's going to the same schools and learning the same thing, and let's face it, some of those kids are gonna be black hats, and some of those kids are gonna be white hats, and they're all going to the same school and learning the same stuff, then that's gonna make you easily hackable, I would think.
Oh, without a doubt. So I'm going to build one, and I'm just going to use this as an analogy. You build one fence that's 15 feet tall, so they jump over it. Well, in between it and another fence is a moat full of alligators and piranha, just to catch them. Just because they're not expecting it, they're just expecting that first fence. So the thing that I talk about with businesses and CEOs all the time is that every company has done a really good job of building a hard outer shell with their routers, their switches, their firewalls, their Wi-Fis. Most times we find that those things are really locked down pretty darn well. What we've ended up with, though, is this soft, chewy middle that's exploitable. And so what, in essence, we built, if we compare it to a candy, is we've built a Skittle.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so we built the Skittle. What we have to build is a jawbreaker. There's a difference.
Is there?
But it still has. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just got a question in the chat. Is there a way to do top levels of security? Do you mean personally or business-wise? I'm not sure I understand the question. I guess he means. I'm guessing that he means to have like the highest possible level of security, and I think you were probably getting to that, to have a jawbreaker all the way through instead of having a Skittle.
Right. So that means understanding a few things here. One, there is no silver bullet from a technology standpoint that is going to save you. Two,
right.
Security must involve people, process, and technology. If you're just using technology, you've missed 2/3 of the equation. We have, in the past at NCX, we've actually talked our way into facilities where we were able to exploit companies. Without physical security, you have no data security. If I'm able to talk my way in and pretend that I'm here to help you somehow, some way, or get some information, but I'm able to plant a USB device in a server and deploy code, I don't care what your technology is, you can't stop that.
I mean, you're talking about like some James Bond type stuff.
I'd be happy to share with you off air some of the things that we've done, but the one thing I will tell you is that people love to be helpful, and attackers and bad guys rely on that help.
So
go ahead.
I was going to say I could really have a career in like intelligence stealing and gathering is what I'm hearing.
Social engineering is interesting, and it's fun sometimes, but you know, I'll give you something that has happened in the past that we've done in the past. There was one particular company we were asked to do an assessment for, and physical security is part of it. And, you know, we literally walked in one afternoon at noon, and this was years ago, and I don't think this would work today. But anyway, we walked in around noon. Everybody's gone. We go in and grab a cube, and usually in the cube there was a phone directory, an internal phone directory. And I pick up the phone and dial the IT department and say, "Hi, I just started today. I need. They told me I needed to get username and password from you guys for the systems." And they said, "Oh, okay. Well, what's your name?" My first name is Jack. Okay. Last name is Lemangelo. Lemangelo. How do you spell that? Well, it's spelled Lemonjello. And they said, "Well, that spells lemon jello." No, it's French. It's Lemangelo.
Stop.
Here's your username and password.
Wow.
Great to meet you, Jack. Some of this stuff is that easy. So without a, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's stunning. I'm sorry. That's just stunning.
So without a security program that identifies risk, mitigates risk, develops a corporate culture within the organization as far as what your tolerance is going to be for risk, develop policies and procedures that marry themselves to your culture, training, monitoring, and then an incident response plan. Without that basic security program, I got to tell you, people are really whistling by the graveyard, as my dad used to say. But you know, you're tempting fate in a lot of ways.
Wow.
And it's amazing to me. I've spoken this year and I've made it a real purpose to go out and speak to small and mid-sized businesses. They're the most at risk. They have the most to lose.
Right.
And it's absolutely extinction level event.
Right.
Stuff
they go out of business within 6 months, right? Of an event like that. 60% of them. Something like that.
Correct. 66%. So in 2016, 50% of all small and mid-sized businesses were breached somehow, some way, through ransomware, through a guy talking their way in. I mean, the variety of ways you can be had is really left to the imagination of what you can do. So of that 50%, 66%, Melanie, were out of business in 6 months.
Yep.
The average cost of a cybersecurity breach is now $7 million per incident. But that's only a breach of 10,000 to 100,000 identity. That isn't one of these big breaches.
That's incredible. The show is almost over. I'm actually almost over time.
Oh, no.
I have like 1 minute left. I can't believe it. Thank you so much. I'm gonna have to have you back because we like literally ran out of time. There's actually a couple more questions. I'm gonna have you back if you're willing to come back.
Anytime.
Thank you so much, Mike Fitzpatrick. You were fantastic.
Thank you very much. And if anybody needs any help, they can hit us up on our website, ncxgroup.com, or better yet, follow us on Twitter. Utilize the posts that we put there, and that's at NCX on Twitter.
Terrific. Thank you. I will definitely put that in the podcast, and I will let everybody know. Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Melanie.
Yep. Have a good one. You are listening to
Bye.
Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. And that was Mike Fitzpatrick. I hope you guys all enjoyed the show. I will definitely post his information in the podcast for you guys. And if you follow me on Twitter, it's definitely on the tweet, and it's definitely on his information is definitely on the post as well. It's already there. Remember, all of this is very important because it is your money. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.